What is the Americans with Disabilities Act? The Americans with Disabilities Act became law in 1990. The ADA is a civil rights law that prohibits discrimination against individuals with disabilities in all areas of public life, including jobs, schools, transportation, and all public and private places that are open to the general public. The purpose of the law is to make sure that people with disabilities have the same rights and opportunities as everyone else. The ADA gives civil rights protections to individuals with disabilities similar to those provided to individuals on the basis of race, color, sex, national origin, age, and religion. It guarantees equal opportunity for individuals with disabilities. Today, on the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, we share our stories on what it's like living with a disability in the age of ADA. Some of us have always seen the effects of ADA in our lives, and some of us haven't always noticed how much ADA has helped us get to where we are today. No matter our story, no matter our disability, we are here today because of ADA.
I'm Christy Carter. I'm the Older Adult Program Coordinator at the Milwaukee LGBT Center, and I'm also the disability advocate. So I have cerebral palsy. I was born 3 months premature and weighed 3 pounds, 3.5 ounces. I was given my last rites. My lung collapsed, which caused the cerebral palsy. And that's it. I also have scoliosis, which is curvature of the spine. ADA has really affected my life. When I was a kid, because of ADA and education and the rights that were brought out by the ADA as far as education, I was able to go to school. As when I was younger, I was also able to go to college, get my master's, and have accommodations that I needed to be successful. Also, I take public transportation, and part of the ADA was transportation being accessible to all people. So I can hop on the bus that has a lift or a ramp, and all of the buses in Milwaukee County have that, and I can get to where I need to go independently. So that's been really great. As also the curb cuts. I don't know how many of you have seen curb cuts being covered in snow in the winter, but the ADA allowed for curb cuts so that people with disabilities or mobility impairments could easily get down the curb safely. And so therefore I'm able to do that and tool around and go everywhere that everyone else does safely. And yeah, I think as a person with a disability or part of the disability LGBT community, we have to know our history, but to think of the people that fought for the rights of disabled people on the Capitol crawl, and they demanded that some of these things that I talked about be a integral part of society. Without that, I might not even be working in where I am professionally at this point. So even it's a great thing, but also we have a long way to go. It's just the ADA was just the start. So I'm looking forward to seeing what'll come in the next 30 years.
Nataliezanoni, Associate Executive Director of the Milwaukee LGBT Community Center. 2 things that I became aware of very early in life. I had learning difficulties, and I had incredibly supportive parents. In 1st grade, it was clear that I was behind most of my peers, as I had significant difficulty learning to read and write. Testing indicated that I had dyslexia and a language processing disorder. My grade school and high school years were filled with tutors, additional classes, learning camps, and what seemed like endless study sessions every weeknight with my mother. Even with all the support, opportunity, and training, I continued to get worse grades than my peers. It was very discouraging. I felt dumb and helpless. I was not confident that I would amount to anything. With support from my parents, I persevered and eventually learned ways in which I could read, write, and retaining information that worked for me. I encounter struggles with my disabilities daily, but have been able to adapt and overcome. It was not until recently that I reflected on what positive effects and positive traits my disabilities have given me. I came across an article, The Many Strengths of Dyslexics by Jillian Petrova, which really resonated with me. Many of the common strengths of those with dyslexia, a result of our brains working differently, and the other skills we have had to develop to combat that challenges we face, include a strong memory, being tremendous empathizers, exceptional spatial reasoning and abstract thinking, and great conversationalists, to name a few. The many strengths and insights that have been a result of my disabilities make me a better wife, better coworker, and overall better person. I hope that sharing my experiences will help others in recognizing that disabilities don't mean less than, and that what makes you different may just be the best thing about you. My name is Kishoff, and I'm the administrative assistant at the Milwaukee LGBT Center. I'm in charge of our social media. I do a lot of community outreach. I work with our volunteers, and I answer the phone sometimes, among other things. I have a few disabilities. I grew up with multiple learning disabilities, and I have acquired a mobility disability. So my mobility disability is encompassing of a few different things. It's hypermobility, fibromyalgia, and some unknown genetic thing. So it wasn't really until I started working at the Milwaukee LGBT Center and getting to know Christy, our disability advocate, that I realized how much ADA has affected my life and helped me get to where I'm at. So growing up with learning disabilities, I was in special classrooms and had teachers' aides, and I had a lot of accommodations. My disabilities, growing up, I didn't let them define me. All I knew was that I had to go to a different room for parts of the day, and I got to have somebody with me who was helping me all day. You know, I didn't realize that that made me too different. I just kind of went about my life, you know. I ended up going to public school, where the public school system were following ADA guidelines. And once I got there, I got the help that I needed. And without having access to an education where I'm in the regular classroom and also getting extra assistance outside of the main classroom, having that education where it's integrated like that, and not being subject to a school that tracks me in a place where I have no room to grow. Being able to be in that system helped me get to where I'm at today. It helped me get through high school, which some teachers said I wouldn't. It helped me get to college, which a lot of teachers said I wouldn't get to. And now I'm going to grad school. And it wasn't really until I started having my mobility disabilities that I started learning about and seeing the amazing work of the people who made my life possible. Because of ADA, I was given the help and the resources that I needed to get to where I'm at and achieve all of my goals.
My name's Summer Valentine Underwood, and I'm a counseling intern at the Milwaukee LGBT Center. I also facilitate the LGBT youth group and the 50 and better support group. I also provide individual counseling. So I have more than one disability, all of them being invisible. I have depression and anxiety, and another invisible disability I have is a seizure disorder. It's not specified because my seizures happen when I accumulate a lot of stress, so I have medication to help with that, along with therapy and my emotional support animal, Zeppelin. She's been a really great help in the past 5 years that I've had her, when it comes to being able to complete daily tasks and reduce any kind of distress that I'm feeling. And she's a really huge asset. So having the disorder affects my life because it's something that I have to be vigilant about every day. I have to be vigilant about the stress that I'm taking on. Even if it's minor, it could still be contributing to my seizure. A seizure that could be coming. I really have to be mindful because I try to avoid having seizures as much as possible because it can be really debilitating afterwards. So it impacts my daily life because it could happen at any moment. And it's really up to me being able to take care of myself and having people understand that and helping me with that to ensure that my day is going to be safe and healthy. Definitely ADA has helped me with accommodations through my university in order for me to be able to pass my classes, which included extended time for test taking. It included me getting excused absences if I let the professors know, like, hey, I'm having a hard time right now because of my depression. I won't be coming to class, but here's my assignment, kind of thing. If it wasn't for ADA, I probably wouldn't be able to hold a job, and I definitely wouldn't be in graduate school right now. My disabilities, they've made me a stronger person. There are positives to my disabilities. I've become much more resilient. It's also really forced me to practice self-care and self-love. I just feel like when it comes to disabilities, a lot of people don't talk about the positives that can come from having a disability. And I think that's an important conversation to have.
Share your story on Facebook and Instagram, and be sure to use the hashtag #MyADAStory. Do you have a disability and need resources or assistance? Contact Independence First at independencefirst.org. Call them at 414-291-7520 or find them on Facebook at Independence First.